Hello, I am Beowulf, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit different today. The Kanabo. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a little bit now, ever since I saw the video made by Metatron. That video got me rather interested in this weapon, a weapon I had seen in The Deadliest Warrior many years ago. Now, while I completely disagreed with that episode, especially since they made the Viking long distance weapon a spear instead of a bow, because Vikings did use bows. They weren't just guys throwing sticks at each other. They were advanced warriors, but that's for another day. So, I want to make a few points about this weapon and the misconceptions I had about it. I had many misconceptions about this weapon when I first saw it. I thought that it was going to be a little bit lighter. I didn't think this would actually be that heavy, but I found out this thing weighs 6 pounds, and this is a rather small one. In fact, it's a very small one, only 2 feet long. I believe it's made out of hickory wood and steel rivets. But this thing is a beast. First time I picked it up, I was completely blown out of my mind. Now I can use it rather easily. It still is heavy, but it's well weighted. The distribution of this weapon is really quite well done. When I first got it, one of the first things I thought, like Metatron has said, that the weight would all be at the end, so it would feel like an axe. Like the weight would pull it forward, but that's just not the case. This weapon, the weight feels as if it goes throughout the entire thing, so it feels more like a heavy sword than an axe, where all the weight is right here, and this is all light. So while this weapon is a blunt force weapon, it's made to hit hard and break armor, I would not say it's like an axe. In fact, I'd say more like a metal baseball bat. If you're going to go for comparison, I would think a heavy baseball bat would be the more accurate description of it. One thing I particularly like about this one is this. These knobs right here make it very easy to wield. I mean, as you can see, I have complete control over it because it makes a nice finger grip. With that, I think it makes the weapon much more wieldable. And if the Japanese used this type of handle, I wouldn't know if they did, I would think that this weapon has a really good chance of being very destructive. Now tell me if I'm wrong, if you know, but this weapon was probably not used that much because it's, one, very heavy, and two, takes a lot of training. Even after a couple of days, I've noticed that this weapon would take a lot of training to get good at with. Especially since this is a short one, and the bigger ones are at least 2 feet longer and twice the weight, so somewhere about 11 to 15 pounds, I've heard, give or take some. So I could not imagine fighting with a 10-pound weapon. This is hard enough as it is, and this is just 5 pounds. I can't imagine a 10-pound weapon. Ugh. Now, one thing I did want to make a response to Metatron is, if you're listening, hi, how you doing? That's awesome. But one thing I did want to say is, you don't need to hit hard with this. You really don't. You can hurt someone with this really easily. In fact, you could just completely take them out with a nice small hit. To test it out, see how much it would hurt if you got hit with it, I simply did that. But instead, I didn't control it down, and it hurt like a bastard. Like I got kicked in the nuts. It hurt like hell. And I was going a tiny little tenth of its strength. If you got hit with this on an arm, on a shoulder, and here, anywhere, it would break bones. No doubt about it. You wouldn't even have to hit full force. Just with a nice little swing, you could break stuff. It'd be devastating. I would not want to be on the opposing end on this. One thing I would like to say as well is I do believe that this weapon would be much better with armor. In fact, I would not suggest using this weapon without armor. It is slower. That's just, at least that's what I think. It's a slower weapon. It's a devastating weapon, and if you get hit with it, it's over. But it is slower. I've used katanas before, and they're much faster. So I would say, as an unarmored fight, a katana would be a much better weapon. It's faster, and it cuts, and it destroys flesh. But armored, it's quite obvious. This takes the gold. This hits hard, it would break stuff really easily. So, what would I give this weapon as, let's say 1 to 10, as a performance? I would say about a 7. It's a really strong weapon. It's durable. I went outside, hit stuff with it, and it doesn't even show it. And it devastated the other things. I mean, it wasn't even close. So, tell me, what do you think? Do you like the weapon? Do you like the way it looks? And what do you think about it? Have a good night.